Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Devils and Gods Country. I'm one of your hosts, Casper Rigsby, and this is my lovely, beautiful, intelligent co host, Miss Allie Jackson. Say hi, Miss Allie.
Miss Allie.
Hi.
All right, so tonight's topic is we're going to talk about how a large portion of bigoted Christians in the United States seem to be espousing the viewpoint that we should kill homosexuals, um, and how they cherry pick the Bible to suit their needs in relationship to this idea and to many other ideas also. I mean, we'll probably venture off a little bit and talk about the whole cherry picking thing as a whole, just beyond this one standpoint and everything. And of course, let's see. Actually, I want to go to Miss Allie first and see exactly what she was talking about. I need to pull up something that I wanted to talk about separately. So go ahead, Miss
Go
Allie.
ahead, Miss Allie.
All right. So this whole idea started about the show started with the boxer Manny, who was just fired from Nike for his comments against homosexuals in general. So the first comment he made that got him fired was, of course, homosexuals are worse than animals. And after Nike ended up saying, no, we don't share that viewpoint. We don't want anyone representing us sharing that viewpoint. So no, you're fired. Hours after that, Manny doubles down on his bigotry and says, here's a Bible. This is just from the Bible. All homosexuals should also be put to death. And of course, he recited Leviticus, where it says, if a man is to lie with another man the same way he lies with a woman, he should be killed, blah, blah, blah. And then shortly after that, there was a chat going around Facebook where this girl uses the exact same quote to explain why every good Christian needs to hate homosexuality. And it was the exact same quote that Manny used. So her friend ends up saying, hey, doll, in Deuteronomy it says, if you marry a woman who's not a virgin, she should be put to death. And if memory serves correctly, when we were in high school, you might want to hope that we don't go back to the biblical views of marriage here. And she, of course, says, you're sick, fuck you. Which is typically the kind of response that we get from bigoted people who believe they have the right to pick and choose what they want to take from the Bible and not have the same thing be carried on across to them. And I think it's really annoying. It's truly annoying because I posted that same thing telling everyone I have friends, that I have girls in my friends list that constantly use the Bible for things like this, constantly use Old Testament stuff showing why we need to hate homosexuals, why we need to just anything that they don't like, just there it is, it's in the Bible. My son shouldn't get a tattoo because it says in the Bible not to mark your body. Well, you're sitting there with fucking earrings. I mean, come on, you can't pick and choose what you want out of it. But that's kind of how Christianity has lived so long, unlike the Quran, which is the absolute pure word of Allah, so it cannot be wrong in any way whatsoever. Christianity gets away with, well, my interpretation of. It's my interpretation. So it's not, this pure word of God. It's their interpretation of it. And that's the only way they can live with themselves, by pretending to live by this book. And it's really sad because we see a lot of women who are pregnant before they're married. Look back at your family line, kind of maybe do the math on that marriage date there, and when you were born, there are a lot of women that got pregnant before then. There are a lot of women that got pregnant and went away to their aunts and uncle's house for a while and came back with a baby sister. That's never happened for me, but that happens back in the day. And just everyone is so ashamed. Everyone's so hateful when it comes to natural expression of the human body and the consequences of, because we don't teach. They don't teach about the consequences of. And it turns these people into these hate mongering. They hate themselves. They want others to be hated just as much as they're hated, and they try to use this old book where anyone gets to interpret it any way they want to help spread their hatred. And I think it's fucking sick.
Okay, so one of the things I wanted to touch on, I always love to bring this up because most of these Christians that want to fucking down on homosexuality hate to fucking listen to this shit, and they want to make all kinds of excuses for them. It's sort of like you know, when you tell someone a factual statement and then they have a million goddamn reasons why your factual statement is actually bullshit through nuanced fucking interpretations of crazy shit, and they start pulling up these crazy research papers that say this, that, or the other to support their position. But here's a fun fact for you: the Bible condemns homosexuality twice. The Bible condemns eating shellfish 47 fucking times. So which one is worse? Uh, Eating bacon wrapped shrimp or fucking a dude in the butt? And here's the other thing. Like, I get it. There's some people that are like, hey, lesbianism is wrong too, but not a lot. Not a lot. Most of it has to do with a dude fucking another dude in the ass. Like, that's the thing. That's the thing that just people are like, ooh. And okay, as a cisgendered straight male, I can say that the the thought of two dudes actually having sex like that, like, is not appealing to me in any sexual sort of manner. That doesn't mean I'm against homosexuality. It's just like, hey, you know what? I don't think I'd like to be fucked in the ass or fuck a dude in the ass. Personally, just a personal thing. I don't think I want to do that. But if that's what you're into, hey, more power to you. It's all good. Like, I ain't gonna hate on you for it. But honestly, I think if you see a Christian pastor that hates gay people sitting in a Red Lobster eating a lobster tail with fucking shrimp on a skewer, you need to go over to him and just smack him as hard as you fucking can right in his goddamn face. Just slap the ever loving shit out of him in front of his family and everything and be like, don't you know God condemns shellfish, you cunt? It's right here 47 fucking times. How do you not know that? You're a terrible Christian. Like, just tear into him. And honestly, okay, yes, I am advocating for violence against people right now. Don't take me seriously. If you take me seriously, you're kind of stupid. But it's the mindset. Okay, it's the fact that these same people that want to tell you that the dietary restrictions from the Old Testament are null and void because they were dietary restrictions that were based upon a misunderstanding of food quality and understanding that when people were eating shellfish because they had shellfish allergies, they were dying, or when people were eating pork and the pork wasn't cooked correctly, people were dying. And so they just added these fucking dietary restrictions. Now, I've challenged the pastor to a debate, and this pastor actually put out a video and said that anybody who wants to challenge the inerrancy of the Bible would be welcome to challenge him to a debate. So I challenged this man to a debate. This has not happened yet. If it does happen, trust me, folks, it will be broadcast. You'll get to see it. It will be a beautiful thing. And these are some of the things that we're going to talk about, because you don't get to say that, oh, this book is the Word of God, and then ignore certain parts. Okay? If this book is the Word of God from front to fucking back, then you have to accept that you, as a Christian, are not allowed to eat shellfish. You're not allowed to eat fucking pork. You're not allowed to wear clothing with fabrics of different fabric types. So all your nylon, polyester, wool, and fucking other blended materials make you a terrible Christian. Okay? And if that seems like a ridiculous fucking idea, it's because it is. It's fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that your omnipotent, omniscient God out there gives a fuck what clothing you're wearing, much less the sex that you're having or the food that you're fucking eating. And there's a whole this sort of level of narcissism within you as an individual to believe that shit that just speaks volumes about you as an individual. It doesn't speak volumes about anybody else. It speaks about you as an individual to be so narcissistic that you think there's this amazing, fucking omnipotent, omniscient being out there who created the whole universe, and he's sitting there going, "Hey, what are you doing with your dick? Did you stick your dick in a booty? What are you doing with your dick? Like, what's the clothes you're wearing? Is that a cotton polyester blend? Are you kidding me now? What the fuck? You're going to hell." Like, seriously. How narcissistic do you have to believe that this dude that supposedly created the whole universe, that's what he's doing with his fucking day? Like, he doesn't have more important shit to fucking deal with. He can't deal with fucking outrageous fucking hunger issues around the world, starvation, fucking tsunamis, fucking outbreaks of diseases, and fucking terrible shit like fucking childhood cancer. Do you think that fucking leukemia in children is not a bigger issue than what you're doing with your dick? Honestly, do you not think that's a bigger issue that your God should be dealing with? Why isn't your God fucking dealing with it? Why are children fucking dying of cancer and you're sitting out in the streets going, "Oh no, let's kill the faggots"? Like, seriously, where are your fucking priorities in life? Where the fuck is your brain? Now, I also wanted to talk about. Hold on, let me pull it up here separately so I can actually really talk about this. I want to talk about Pastor Kevin Swanson. Now, I know a lot of times we've been dealing with politics here lately, because it's political season here in the U.S. We got primaries going on. Trying to figure out what dumb cunt on either side is going to get fucking nominated as their team's fucking quarterback to ruin the whole fucking game for everybody. Um, Granted, I'm a Bernie supporter. For those of you who don't follow me, yes, I'm a Bernie supporter, and I think Bernie is the better quarterback that we could put out there. He ain't perfect, I get you, but I think he's the best choice for quarterback on any sort of liberal side. But let's talk about Pastor Kevin Swanson. Now, there was a conference that three of the GOP candidates were invited to. We got Mike Huckabee, Bobby Jindal, and Ted Cruz were invited to the this Freedom Conference or what the fuck ever. And it was set up and carried out by this Pastor Kevin Swanson. Now, Pastor Swanson is a firm advocate for killing faggots, um, as I'm sure he would like to put it if he could be less politically correct. And I have no qualms about being less politically correct, so we'll say that. Um, to sum it up, that's his position. Um, and so he goes through and he gives this huge opening speech about talking about how homosexuality is a sin and how his own words here, his own fucking words. In fact, in Romans 1, Paul affirms that this particular sin is worthy of death. Okay? That's his own words. He says this particular sin is worthy of death. So he's straight up advocating for the murder of homosexuals based on the fact that they're homosexuals. And if we want to sum it up in fucking childhood playground terms, he's saying, "Hey man, if you like taking it in the butt, we're gonna kill you." Woohoo! Like that's his stance on the matter. And if he had his way, that's what he would want to do. And let's take a look at the fact that three presidential candidates for the Republican Party showed up at this conference. They spoke at this conference. They spoke to the people who sat in this audience where this dude said this and were fucking cheering and losing their minds on, yeah, let's fucking lynch them. And three presidential candidates that okay, I'm gonna say they potentially could become president, but honestly, Ted Cruz is the only one that has a real chance out of that fucking grouping there, because Mike Huckabee, he ain't fucking getting nowhere, and most people don't even really know who the fuck Bobby Jindal is. So let's say one of these dudes has a real chance of possibly, worst case scenario, becoming president. But still, they're at this convention. They're with these people who fucking cheered for this dude calling for the death of homosexuals under a biblical worldview. Um, what's again amusing to me is this dude never says eating shellfish is an abomination unto the Lord, so saith Leviticus, blah 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 blah. And if you've been going to Red Lobster or Long John Silver's and eating them shrimps and them fucking lobster tails, you're going to hell. We ought to fucking string you up. I mean, it doesn't say that you got to kill people for eating shellfish, but, you know, hey, if you got to kill gay people for just being gay, then why not, man? Shellfish. I love shrimp. You have to kill me to get me to stop eating the shit. So, personally, this is me personally. But, yeah, so what do you think about that pastor there, Allie?
Well, him and so many more like him, sadly. I think it's disgusting. I think it's despicable. I can't believe they understand how much power they have over the people. They do. Okay, they get their teething bowls every Sunday. They know that people are there to listen to every single word that comes out of their mouth. People aren't there to read the Bible and discuss things for themselves. People are there because they want it read for them. They want it interpreted for them. And when they know that they have this power and they go out there and they spread this hate, it's absolutely despicable. I can't believe that this is legal in our country to do. It's literally spreading hate. I have seen these men tell their congregation, and I'm not saying every preacher does this, okay? I'm just talking about the ones that are stupid enough to go to their congregation and say, let's go kill homosexuals. It says in the Bible that we can. Let's go do this. They know the power that they have. They know that this is going to cause a lot of damage in lives. And what about those poor children? Okay, that's what I think a lot of people leave out of this. A lot of kids know they're gay from a very, very, very young age, all right? And what about these children that are sitting there in these pews, and they haven't exactly been able to express themselves or tell anyone, hey, I'm gay, okay? And they hear their preacher tell everyone if someone's gay, they need to be put to death. Why isn't anyone thinking about this? I mean, maybe I think about it because I'm a mother of a homosexual, but how is that not crossing anybody's minds? You know, when my kid is looking at social media and he's like, hey, who's this guy who wants all these gay people dead? What's wrong with me? What did I do to this guy? You know, they don't process things the same way. I think it's absolutely fucking disgusting. And on a hypocritical level, you mentioned that people don't really care so much about lesbians. I'm going to open up a little bit on a private note that I don't share normally because I don't want to be sexualized or anything of that nature, but I am bisexual. Okay, I've dated more women than I have men, and it's definitely something that I for the longest time, because of my religion, had to put in the back of my mind. And I was lucky enough to see Jeff DeWitt give a speech about losing God, and about what happens when what the stages you go through when you finally understand that maybe there is no God. It starts way before you actually come up to the idea or conclusion there is no God. You go through little stages. And I remember being in high school, and I remember one of the stages that I was in when I told myself, you're a sinner. You're a dirty fucking sinner after I kissed a girl. And I hated myself for it, but I loved it so much. And I knew that was something that I didn't want to stop. And then I came to the conclusion, well, my God, my Jesus didn't hate homosexuals. And the truth of the matter is, yes, according to the Bible, he did. According to the Bible, he made people and then wiped off the entire planet because he didn't like what he made. I mean, this man was angry. This man was a bitter, terrible person. And I'm sitting there telling myself, well, it's okay that I do these things because that hateful God isn't my same God. Well, that's one of the stages of losing religion. I didn't understand at the time, but whenever you start making up lies to yourself that, you know, my Jesus wouldn't think this way, my God wouldn't think that way, you're creating your own God. You know, it's not the same. It's not the same God as the God that had the Bible put together, the God that had all the magical powers, that wielded the right people to write his little story. It's not the same God. And, you know, all of a sudden now you believe in something completely different from what you think you believe in. And I think that's a very important step here, because I see a lot of Christians, I'm friends with a lot of Christians that especially are at that stage right now, where, well, not my God. My God is a loving God. I'm a very spiritual person. I feel God in great times of glory. I feel God when I'm speaking to people who need help, and he tells me to help these people. That's you, right? That's you being a very good person. It's not Jesus speaking to you, but it's also not the same Jesus or God of the Bible. For the most part, it's not. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people really get that. But back to my story. So that's something that plagued me for the longest time. It plagued me so much so that I did marry a man, and a lot of that was I was scared to continue down the road that I was headed down. My hateful family, there was no way I was going to be able to tell them that I was gay, much less anything else. Which I wasn't at the time, but you know, you don't know. Sometimes people just don't understand their sexuality. And I did end up telling my mom. One of the last times that I saw her, and if anyone knows me knows that I don't talk to my parents, but one of the last things I did was tell her that I had sex with a girl in her bed just to make her mad, and I got slapped across my face, and I was told to shut the fuck up. That was not something that we were going to talk about ever in that household, and it kind of made me mad, because I was like, why can't I be who I am? Like, if that's who I am, why can't I be this person? Why are you going to hate me because I'm this person? And it all started off because she was talking about how homosexuals are terrible, homosexuals are bad. And I was like, hey, I am, right? And do you still hate me? And absolutely, absolutely, she would have hated her own daughter had I gone that route. But, you know, and sexuality can be fluid, in my opinion. You can change, but you shouldn't change because you feel like something that was written thousands of years ago wants you to change. Hundreds, whatever. You shouldn't be able to. I don't know. I think that it's really sad that we live in a society now where people use this old, outdated book to pick and choose what feels good, and they don't understand the destruction they're doing to people. I'm a very happy person now, and if my husband is watching this, sweetie, I'm sorry, and I know that we probably need to talk about some things, but you know, we can't just sit here in silence, and we can't just shut up about the fact that people are doing this. You know, you can't sit there on your third marriage telling people, oh, you're gay, so let's not get married. Yeah, you know, you shouldn't be married. You should be stoned to death because you actually married someone after your first divorce. So you should be like dead twice already, and you're not. I mean, how do you not see that can also be an abomination of God? And it's written there in your Bible, and you can't say, well, my God doesn't like gays, but my God understood my situation, why I needed to get a divorce. No. And I seriously believe that this is why our divorce rate seems so high now than they were back in the 50s. People are losing their religion. People don't have to stay together anymore because they're Catholic. Okay? People can get a divorce and still be Catholic today. And slowly God is evolving. Okay, people always ask me, they say, where's your proof of evolution? And I say, religion. Religion is my proof of evolution. As we evolve, our God evolves. Who we say our God is completely changes. And to some people, he's this all-loving character. Well, no, he's really not. And so I just, that's interesting to me that people can pick and choose what they want, and people get to pick and choose what their God wants, because they don't understand they're picking and choosing what they themselves want. It's not God speaking to you, that's you speaking to you. You're not schizophrenic. You don't like gay people because you think it's icky, because you are indoctrinated to believe that it's icky, and that's the only reason why you hate it. And you're grasping for straws to make other people see your side, and it's pathetic. That's all I want to say about that.
So, a couple of points to touch on what you've been discussing, and also what I discussed earlier. So, when this pastor, let me remind everyone of his fucking name again, because he's a cunt, and I want you to remember that he's a cunt. If you ever meet him on the streets, just let him know he's a cunt. His name is Pastor Kevin Swanson. And when he quoted, he said, in fact, in Romans 1, Paul affirms that this particular sin is worthy of death. Let's address that for a minute, okay? Here's a big problem with these people who want to cherry pick the Bible. Jesus himself, according to the New Testament, never condemns homosexuality. This is a factual fucking statement. Whether you're a believer, whether you're a non-believer, doesn't fucking matter. This is a factual fucking statement. Jesus himself never condemns homosexuality. And if we want to play the interpretation game, I would love to play the interpretation game. Let me give you a quote that supposedly comes from Jesus himself in Matthew 19, verse 12. In this verse, supposedly, Jesus himself, now I say supposedly because I'm a mythicist, I don't even think there was a Jesus, but supposedly, Jesus himself says in Matthew 19, verse 20, "For there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept this should accept it." Now, there are plenty of theologians out there who will fucking argue back and forth about what this statement means. But I'm going to tell you that there's only one way to be born a eunuch, okay? And that's if you were born without genitals, okay? So let's assume that in this statement, Jesus is making a parallel rather than making an actual statement about a factual situation where someone is born without genitals. And let's say that Jesus is commenting on people who have a genital orientation of being what we would consider cisgendered, heterosexual, and they instead do not engage in heterosexual lifestyle. So these are people who are born eunuchs who do not engage in a normal sexual relationship. And Jesus is telling you, hey, if you can accept this fact, then accept it and move on with your fucking life. Now, for me personally, if I were to interpret this, if I were to believe that there was a Jesus and that Jesus said some things, which I don't, if I were to believe that, I would take this to mean that Jesus is saying, hey man, look, some people are gay, and that just kind of happens, and you need to fucking get over yourself and just deal with it. Like that's just how shit is. Um, and there are plenty of theologians who actually do agree with me on this. This is why when we contrast Islam with Christianity, we can see an actual reformist movement within Christianity, because there are plenty of people, plenty of theologians, plenty of pastors, plenty of your average everyday Christians who will look at this same verse that I'm quoting to you here and tell you that this is Jesus telling you exactly what I'm telling you right now. That Jesus said, look, you accept people for who they are, and you love them and you treat them well regardless of whether you like it or not. You accept the reality of the situation and you move on with your fucking life. It's not your fucking place to condemn these people. Now, the other issue here, of course, is that our fucking lovely bigoted Pastor Kevin Swanson wants to point to something said by Paul. And I love to point this out to Christians day in and day out. Your entire interpretation of Jesus, unless you're only taking your interpretation of Jesus based on what he supposedly said, is in fact based on what Paul, a man who never fucking met Jesus, by his own fucking words, never fucking met Jesus, except apparently as a goddamn ghost on the road to Damascus, is telling you that Jesus wants from you. And in fact, Paul is disputed often by the actual disciples who supposedly fucking hung out with you and with Jesus, including Peter and Timothy and Matthew and others who supposedly hung out with Jesus, like they were kicking it in his fucking camp. And yet this dude Paul, who never fucking met Jesus, wrote 13 books of the New Testament out of 27, the majority of the New Testament, and his teachings are the basis of modern Christianity. It's not Jesus' teaching. Where is the fucking gospel according to Jesus? You know what? It doesn't fucking exist. That gospel doesn't fucking exist. But there's 13 fucking gospels that are attributed to Paul, and that is the basis for modern Christianity. He wrote the letters to the churches. Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians. He wrote these books. Supposedly, they're attributed to him. And he told these people how to be Christians. And yet this man never walked a single fucking step with Jesus himself, as admitted by his own fucking mouth, and was a persecutor of those who were following Jesus before Paul ever came into the fucking picture. And yet Paul supposedly fucking met the ghost of Jesus on the road to Damascus, and now he is the fucking ultimate authority in what Jesus wants you to do with your genitals. So just let that sink in for a minute. The man who never met Jesus is supposedly the authority on Jesus. You know, that's a fucked up situation. And this is why there's so much argument between people like myself and others about the reality of a literal Jesus ever existing, a historical Jesus, because there's no evidence for it. And our best evidence comes from a guy who says he met the ghost of Jesus. Now, I know if there are plenty of people who believe in ghosts, and I get you. You have every right to believe that, but honestly, if there are ghosts out there, the ghost hunter fuckers would have stopped pissing their pants by now every time they hear a bump in the night, and they would have found the fucking ghosts. Those guys have been fucking looking, man. They've been looking for fucking years. I watch their shows. I think they're insane. Like, those guys would have found them. They would have fucking put their depends on, quit pissing their pants, and found the fucking ghosts. So I don't anymore believe that Paul met the ghost of Jesus on the road to Damascus than I believe that fucking people are seeing ghosts here and now today. It's just a ridiculous idea. I think people see a lot of shit and they attribute it to other shit. So there's just this sort of weird thing where people say, oh, well, it's confirmed in the New Testament. Yeah, by Paul, who was also an apocalypticist who told people that they shouldn't be fucking period because the world was fixing to end in his lifetime. Remember that Paul reaffirmed Jesus' own statement that those who heard the voice of Jesus would see the kingdom of Jesus come before the end of their lifetime. The most failed prophecy in all of the Bible, which supposedly comes from Jesus himself, which never fucking came true. All the people who supposedly heard the voice of Jesus are fucking long dead, thousands of fucking years ago. But Jesus said they would see his kingdom before they fucking died. Just keep that in mind. So I also wanted to touch on the idea that one of the biggest demographics of the homeless community are teens who've been kicked out of their homes or have left their homes for being homosexuals. And I think that's something we really have to address with this situation. We have these fundamentalist parents who will throw their children out on the streets to live homelessly, to live without a home, to fucking beg and barter for a fucking meal, just because of their sexual orientation. And whether it's a choice or not, which it isn't, factually speaking, but let's say, okay, potentially it is a fucking choice. So fucking what? What is wrong with these parents throwing their children out on the streets because their religious beliefs trump their allegiance to their own children? That's a serious fucking issue. That's why we have so many homeless teens on the streets right now, and the vast majority of them are homosexuals who have been kicked out of their homes or have left their homes because they were afraid of getting kicked out of their homes for being who they are. That's the situation we're in the United States right now.
And it's a really sad concern. It's a sad concern to me because I feel like I've known this statistic for quite some time and nothing's been done about it. The number is just continuing to grow. More and more and more children are continuing to suffer at the hands of disgusting parents who don't want to do their jobs or love their children if they didn't turn out exactly how they wanted. Now, kind of touches back on what I was saying earlier and how God destroyed the world because it didn't turn out the way he wanted one time. Well, these parents are doing the exact same thing to other people. You don't get a bed to sleep in tonight, little Joey, because you want to stick your penis in another man's ass. I think that's absolutely, it's, well, what are we doing? How are we a country that's allowing this? I know that runaways are, a teen who runs away, it's actually against the law if the parent doesn't want them to run away at a certain age. So if that's the case, why are we knocking back the years that it's okay for children to leave their parents or you know, emancipate themselves from their parents? Especially when a lot of it is just due to pure ignorance and hatred. I don't like the way that my child grew up, so it can fucking sleep in the streets tonight. I think that's horrible. And as a mother myself, I don't care. I don't care if my daughter wants to grow up to be a stripper. As long as she's happy and she's the best stripper she can be, I am going to be so damn proud of her. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not my life, you know? I think a lot of parents also forget that, and something that you and I have touched about so many times on the show, your children are not yours, okay? Like, it's your job to guide them. You're their safe place to fall in this world, and without you, life's just gonna suck. So understand that your kid turning out to be gay is not a fault of yours by any means. You should still be proud of them for whatever it is they want to be, whatever it is they want to do, because it's not your fucking life. And you should just feel privileged that they still want to allow you in their life. That's what you should be feeling, okay? Rather than kicking little poor Joey out on the street because he's gay, why don't you just fucking be like, wow, that's great, kiddo. Hey, can we go out this weekend still, please? Will you still talk to me as a parent? Because most parents don't get that. All right, there are parents who have to find their 13-year-old kid hanging in his closet because he gets bullied at school, who would give fucking anything for their son to be alive at 16, even if he was gay. And they would give anything to be able to hug him one more time and love him and all these things, but you just throw people away like they're trash on the fucking street. And in America, we just don't fucking care. And it's sad. I get really, really depressed when we talk about the horrible times that transsexual and homosexual kids have to go through. Because especially a lot of trans people end up committing suicide when they grow up. They just can't take it. Okay, they can't take that the mother keeps saying, well, I gave birth to a boy and a boy will always be Joey. No, that's not fair. Like, you can't do that. It's not your fucking life. It is their life, not yours. And that's exactly how it is with a lot of these people that we're kind of talking about tonight. They use the Bible and things to get their way with other people, to hold other people's emotions hostage with the Bible. They want everyone to think their way. They want everyone to live their way and give the fuck up. It's not your life. It is not your life. The way I view my son and the way I love my son and the way I'm proud of my son, even though you hated your son, you threw him out on the street. Don't come to me on Facebook throwing Bible verses in my face, trying to get me to hate my son. I'm not that stupid. Okay, I'm not that stupid. So it's infuriating that people are willing to throw away people like they're dogs that don't put pissing on the carpet. Even then, that's bad. You shouldn't do, but people do it, and it's annoying. But you do this to people now too. People. I just this is why we're fucked up. I can't even talk about this topic without getting overly emotional. I get so angry because I have had when I told everyone that my son was gay. I had one woman message me and say, "Pray, let's pray about it. I'm sure it's just a phase. I'm sure he's gonna get over it." And I became so upset. I was upset because, one, I didn't have the strength to fight her back at the time. I didn't. And I let it sit in my inbox, and I let it sit in my inbox, and it just tortured me. That someone would come to me and say, you don't need to be afraid, because we can still put our faith in God and see if there's a way he can come out of this. And I was also at that time a very open atheist, but I suppose that's a punishment for my atheisms, that I have a gay son. It's my punishment. So it's a very tender topic for me when it comes to children and how the world perceives them, because we're a country, and it's not just us. Okay, the Philippines are also the worst. I have a girl that I love more than anything. Consider her my sister. I would do anything for her growing up in the Philippines, and she's a trans woman, and I have to see on social media, and I have to hear from her almost daily on how people trash her for it. And in her community, okay, in that country, this is perfectly okay. That's its culture. It's a very Christian culture. It's very strict about the fact that they do not like homosexuals. They do not like transsexuals. And she has to put up with this. She has to live with this on a daily, the ignorance of people. And it's okay there because it's culture. And it's sad to watch people that you love, so many people that you love, get torn down because of a religious culture. It's disgusting, and it's also why I sit here and I talk about this stuff that I don't want to talk about, because it hurts so much sometimes. But I do. I talk about it because I want someone out there to understand. There are people here who understand you. There are people here that absolutely will respect you, no matter who you are, no matter who you want to sleep with, no matter what you feel might be right or wrong about your body. There are people here who will still respect you for it. And so if you are one of those teens that are out there right now whose mom is threatening you or dad is threatening you, know that there are people here, especially at Atheist Republic. You can write us anytime. You can get in touch with our support group. I help a lot of children that are in this situation. There will always be someone here for you. And I know that it's hard, and I know that a lot of people contemplate suicide and things of that nature, but there are people here that will absolutely love you and cherish you and be proud to be just a small piece of your life. So that's an important message that I want to throw out there before I get even more drunk. Casper, back to you.
Of course, this touches on the reason why we do what we do. We get shit from even atheists about how we're constantly bashing religion, how we're constantly bashing the ideas presented in religion, and why we're being such dickheads about it. And there's plenty of atheists out there who will tell you, man, you just need to live and let live. If people want to believe something, let them fucking believe it. What's it hurt people? It hurts people in the fact that the biggest demographic of homeless teens, of the homeless themselves, are teens who have been kicked out of their homes for being homosexuals. That's a factual fucking statement that shows the inherent danger of even Christianity. Fuck talking about radical Islam. Christianity is still a dangerous element in our society. in everyone's society. There are witch burnings and people killing people as witches in Africa right now based on Christian ideology. That's a real fucking thing. That happens on a daily fucking basis. There are people murdering their own children because they believe that the fucking Christian pastor comes in there and tells them that they're fucking there's a real there's really such a thing as witches and that their children are fucking witches and they murder their own fucking children. They pour acid down their fucking throats to murder them because they honestly believe what this Christian pastor has told them, that there is actually such a thing as witches. There is an inherent danger in religion, and where it stems from is this idea of divine absolute truths. When you say that you believe there is a divine absolute truth, not just an absolute truth, but a divine absolute truth handed down by some supposedly omnipotent, omniscient fucking wizard from another goddamn dimension, then you can become a very dangerous individual in terms of the society that we live in. You can become harmful to the people around you because you believe that you are divinely obligated to be a shitty human being because some fucking crazy ass wizard in another dimension said, "Hey man, I hate faggots. You can kill faggots. It's all good." That's scary. That's terrible. And that's why we have to fucking speak out. What I love to point out to people who call themselves Christians is that we have all these fucking signs and these people who quote John 3:16 and whatever, for Jesus so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, blah blah blah. Fucking horrible, just terrible shit. Like, we'll get into that in another episode, I'm sure, as to why that's a fucking terrible fucking idea. And this is like, oh well, that's the Christian fucking motto right there. I want to quote a little bit more of the Bible for you, okay? And this is the most important statement in all of the Bible. If your God exists, this is what you should keep in mind. This comes from Matthew 25, verses 31 through 46. When the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me." Then the righteous will answer him, "Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothing and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?" The king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." Then he will say to those on his left, "Depart from me, you who are accursed, into the eternal fire prepared for the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes, and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison, and you did not look after me. They also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or needing clothes or sick or in prison and did not help you? He will reply, Truly I tell you, whatever you did not do for the least of these, you did not do for me. They will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Now, I don't believe in the Bible. I don't believe there is a God who will judge me in the end. But I'm going to tell you right now that this idea that we do for those who are in need, that we take care of our own, is an upright and morally and ethically justifiable idea. It should inform every action that you take in life. Will your afterlife be dependent upon your faith or your actions? And I ask you, if you're a Christian, look to these verses and tell me what you think. Tell me what you think God's judgment will be upon you when you throw your own children out into the streets without food, without clothing, without loving them, without taking care of them. What do you honestly think his fucking judgment towards you will be if he actually exists? You should be happier than I am that this is a fucking myth. Because if it were true, there will be millions upon billions burning in your own fucking hell who called themselves Christians day in and day out, but could not live up to this standard. And there will be millions upon billions of atheists sitting in your heaven who your God has said, Hey man, I know you didn't believe in me, but you did what was right anyway. You looked at your fellow human being and said, This person is in need, and I cannot possibly stand by and see them in need and not do something. That's where you're at in life. To all the Pastor Kevin Swansons, all the fucking Ted Cruzes out there, to all the Mike Huckabees, if there's a hell, I promise you, you will see it long before I ever do. Long before 90% of the atheists ever do. Because even though we don't believe your bullshit, we still live by the principles that supposedly inform your God based on your own Jesus's testimony of how your God will judge us. It will not be by faith. It will not be by belief. If your God exists and if we are to be judged, it will be based on our actions. And we live up to that standard in earnest without even believing in it because it's just ethically correct. It is the right thing to do. So fuck you. Fuck your hatred. Fuck your anger. You're unjustified. And I will use your own Bible against you. I've studied it day in and day out throughout my life. And even not being Christian, every day when I see a homeless man on the street, when I see someone in need, my thought is, that person deserves better. And if I can help, I should help. Not for a reward in any supposed afterlife, but because that's what's right. That's what's ethically correct to do. So you hold on to your hatred, and I'm going to keep fighting you with love and understanding and compassion. It's something that you're sorely lacking in. Every last one of you hateful, bigoted motherfuckers, you are sorely lacking in compassion, because as much as I hate everything that you stand for, I would never treat you as bad as you treat your own children and your own supposed loved ones and your own family. I would never treat you that way. And for all the fucking hateful ass fundamentalist Christians out there who say, oh, well, you think you're better than me because you're an atheist. No, I don't think I'm better than you because I'm an atheist. I think I'm better than you because I know what it is to be a decent fucking human being. And you don't. You don't fucking get it. So yeah, I'm better than you. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I'm fucking better than you. And you can suck a fucking dick. In fact, you probably should fucking suck a dick because you might like it. Maybe it would make your life so much better if you just fucking put a dick in your mouth. Like maybe that would improve your fucking your entire stance on life. I don't know. Allie, I'll give you the last word tonight again.
I actually just have one thing that I wanted to add to something that you said when you said when you were calling for people to help when somebody needs the help. So as Christians, you know, we run consulates and we do a lot of things. We have people that get together just for coffee. We have people that get together and actually do great things for the community because our community needs it, and they do it as members of Atheist Republic, and I think they're just great. And that's kind of what we're calling for here, you know, for you to do is do something. Writing the word prayers, praying in a Facebook status is not doing anything, actually, and I don't even believe half of you do pray. So that doesn't actually do anything. Getting off of your butt and helping does do something. And even if you can't help with money and you can't help with time, you can at least help by help doing a little bit of research and finding resources for people who are in need, and being a contact. I mean, there's so many things you can actually do just sitting on your ass flipping through your phone. You can actually do something and not just type prayers or amen into some Facebook status. So when we say that atheists are better, that's kind of what we're talking about. When Pope Francis said, you know what, atheists are going to go to heaven, even though I don't believe in heaven, and I think Pope Francis is a joke. I know that enraged a lot of the Christian population, but this is why we're normally the ones doing what you don't do. We're the ones living by the standard you claim to live by, and that's not because we feel we owe anybody but humanity. We owe it to humanity to do the right thing, and we do the right thing. At least, you know, me and Casper can speak for ourselves when we say that. So that's all I wanted to add.
Thank you, Allie. As always, the viewpoints expressed here on the Devils and God's Country are not necessarily the viewpoints of all members of Atheist Republic. We have well over, I think, 300 members now. We're getting bigger and bigger by the day because people see what we do and they want to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form, whether they want to share their voice, whether they want to contribute monetarily. Yeah, we're a nonprofit, and, you know, we do kind of need money to get by. It sucks. I know. Like, we don't, I wish we were self-sustainable and we could tell you, no, please don't send our fucking money, your money to us, send it somewhere else, do something else with it. Unfortunately, we're not to that point yet. We're trying to get there. That's where we want to be. This is not like a church establishment where we're like, hey, keep sending in your money so our fucking CEO and fucking, you know, all the officers in our organization can be millionaires and live in great houses and shit. Like, no, we just want to continue to exist and be able to provide stuff to the atheist community and to the human community at large out there. So, yeah, we kind of do need your money a little bit, but more than that, more importantly than that, and always more importantly than that to us, is if you have something to say, if you have something to contribute, if you have some way that you want to be involved, please visit atheistrepublic.com and volunteer with us as a blogger. Help us write news articles, help us get the word out. If you want to help us make little infographics and memes and stuff, every little bit of that helps. It draws exposure to what we're doing. It helps build this community. It gives people a community to feel like they want to be a part of. So everything that you contribute in any way, shape, or form, like Allie said, if you want to be a researcher and help make sure that we only present the most factual possible information that we can present, please help us do that. We'll get you involved in our research team, and we'll make sure that we are staying on the up and up, and that we keep our fucking noses clean and only present factual information to you. That is our purpose. We want to give you the facts. We want to build a strong community. We want to make sure that people who want to get their voices heard can do that. That's what we're here to do. So thank you for joining us for another episode of The Devils in God's Country. These episodes will soon all be available in podcasts. I'm working to get that up. If you just want to listen on your ride to work or whatnot, please be patient with me as I get all these uploaded and worked out and get them available as a podcast. So you can listen to them, check them out at your leisure. So, thank you once again for everybody who watched. And this has been another episode of The Devils in God's Country. We'll see you next week. Same time, same place.